Sorry about the delay. Am I audible? Attendees 7, only 5 online by far. Thank you, Pradeep. Any more joining in? 5 only online. Okay, let's get started in the interest of time, though I'm sorry about today's delay. Some time took to log in to my machine. Okay, we covered till form number 4, 5, form number 4 yesterday, I believe, right? With multi-parameter and default parameter specification we completed. Any question from the yesterday procedure, syntaxes, statement? Anybody having any doubts by far? How to pass a parameter, how to make a default value for the parameter, how to use it. Did you guys go through the script that was handled? Did you try to go through the example number 10? Because if you have completed those 10, majority of your exercise is done. Any question? Any question from anybody? Vijay Krishna Guljar is saying yes. Okay, fine. Let's move on. So till yesterday, we completed the form number 5, where we were trying to pass value to the multi-value to the parameter, single value to the parameter, sorry, to the procedure, and a single parameter to the procedure, multi-parameter to the procedure, default value for the parameter. Default value to the parameter means what? You will say parameter equals to a default value. If somebody doesn't supply, it will not throw error because it knows that there is a default value associated to the parameter. So I can still use it. If you see, this is a default valued procedure. So even if you do not pass the 3 parameter, it will not throw error. Why? Because it will assume the value for the parameter is passed as the default value. You want to see what is the default value of the parameter? You can actually do a select and then you can see it. What is the value coming into the procedure? You can do always a select. Select, show me the value of the parameters. Select, Control V, and okay. And you can see whenever you are passing a value to the procedure, you can see these values. Okay. How do you do that? Form 5, highlight all, execute all of them. Sorry, up to this point. Begin end. Okay. Your scope ends at begin end. Control R. So your procedure code is compiled. Now I want to pass a default value. I want to pass default value. So I will see 0 blank blank. Is that correct? 0 blank, 0 blank and blank. 0 for the employee ID, blank and blank for the default value. Why? Because I did not pass any value, and when I say I didn't pass the value, the default value of the parameter will override the thing. So the 0 override the employee ID, the blank is assigned to the first name, and the blank is assigned to the last name. That is where you see this particular 3 values: 0 blank blank, if I don't pass any. But if I pass something, then I will definitely see that value, whatever I'm passing. I'm saying for the employee I'm passing 1, for the first name I'm passing Bhuvnesh, for the last name I'm passing Kumar. Can you see that? And then depending upon that, I can see the calculation coming out. Wherever the employee ID matches 1, or the first name matches Bhuvnesh, where the last name matches Kumar. Okay. Now we'll move further. Till now, yesterday we are trying to build a procedure that can only do select queries. Now we'll do, like I said, procedure is a script block, or it is an object inside the SQL Server that has the highest privilege available. Highest privilege means what? It can do anything and everything possible within SQL Server. You want to create a database from procedure, you can create it. You want to create tables, you can create it. You want to drop tables, you can do it. You want to insert data into the table, possible. DML, delete, update, DQL, security control, grant, revoke, transaction control, begin, tran, commit, rollback, depending upon your logic. You can do anything and everything within a procedure. That is why procedure is that important, and procedure runs faster over a normal script. The reason being, in a procedure, the procedure is a compiled code. The parsing and the compilation cycle is already taken care of during the creation of the procedure, right? Because it is already pre-compiled, that is why it runs faster over a normal SQL query. Okay. Now coming back to the DML, using a DML operation in the procedure, what I want to do, I know I have a table created yesterday whose structure is employee table, employee ID, first name, last name, salary, and address. Do observe I'm using identity as the employee ID. That means I no need to insert value into the table. Is that understanding correct? Because it is the identity value and the default value started 1 and 1, right? So I will not insert a value in for the employee ID, but for the remaining first name, last name, salary, and address, I definitely need to provide the data, right? So now I want to build an procedure. If I pass a data to the procedure, it will insert the data into the table. That is the exercise that we want to complete. How do we do that? Form number 7, using a DML. How do I do? I'm creating a procedure called as USP add employee. Yesterday I was talking about the signature of an employee. This part is known as the signature. Can you see that highlighted area? USP underscore get, USP underscore add, USP underscore modify, USP underscore delete, right? These will be your signature. Signature signify what operation you are doing. Second part of the signature is known as on which object you are doing, correct? I'm saying USP add employee. If you read the name, it will say somebody is trying to add data into the employee table. That is why the name is very important. And do remember, USP stands for user defined stored procedure. Can you take a note? USP stands for user defined stored procedure. Okay. Now what I want to do, I want to insert 4 value of data into the 4 value for the parameter first name, last name, and salary and address. These are the default value of and this is the size exactly as of table. Do remember, whenever you are accepting parameter, declaring a parameter, one thing to remember: whatever is the data type and the size of that particular column, always adhere to that same sizing and data type. If you have declared first name as varchar 50, always create a SQL procedure who will insert data into the table or update data into the table with the same varchar 50 as a column data type and size for the first name column. The reason being, if you go beyond, it will say binary data would be truncated. You must have seen this kind of error during your insert, update, delete. If you are declaring a small valued table, column name is a short column name, whereas you are inserting larger value into the column, you will say by string or binary data would be truncated. So it is important to adhere to the structure, standard structure of the table. Now I'm going back into the form number 6. Yeah. Here, if you see USP add employee, all the 4 parameter I declared. I declared the salary as a default parameter. You can, and also I have given these are the parameter. It is not like every parameter has to be defaulted. Okay, it is your wish what you want to do. If you want to default it, then you can default it. If you think it is a mandatory parameter somebody need to provide, I cannot insert a blank row, right? Then you should not do it. That is where you should. What is the condition that you must be thinking? Shall I do default value for everything? Absolutely not. Say for an example, in the table first name and last name are your unique keys. That means data cannot be null over there. Only one row of null is allowed, but remaining null are unique. So do not accept, do not default this parameter. Okay. When to default? When you know that particular parameter, even if not specified, doesn't harm me, right? In those cases, choose some value as a default parameter. Clear? What I'm going to do? Nothing. Set no count on. I said yesterday, this particular parameter is an optimization parameter inside the SQL Server. When written, it chops up how many rows of data gets affected. No count on. No count on means what? Whenever you are trying to insert, update, or delete, it will say 4 rows affected, 5 rows affected, 100 rows affected. It will not show those lines of data that n number of rows affected. Clear? Now, here I am doing insert into employee. Simple insert query, insert into employee, values, and in the values, whatever parameter or the parameter that you are specifying through the SQL procedures parameter signature, those values will be inserted. First name as a value, last name as a value, salary as a value, and address as a value. Done. We also created a procedure that will tell us, show me whatever data is available within the table. This is the procedure that we created without any parameter, the first procedure that we created yesterday. If you run it, it will show you what data is available in the table. So instead of writing a select query, I can call a procedure within a procedure as well. That is the example that I wanted to show you. If you see, insert into employee, I am doing the insert, and second step, I am trying to show what value is inserted into the table. So calling a procedure within procedure is possible. calling a function within a procedure is possible, but calling a procedure in a function is not possible. The reason being, function is having limited capability. What you can do within a function, you can do only select queries within a function. What a function is supposed to do, function is supposed to return a value irrespective what you want to do. Done. Inside the function you cannot do DML, you cannot do DDL, you cannot do anything, right? But within the procedure you can do everything. So with a low capability function, with a low capability feature set, you cannot call a high capability feature set within that, right? That is where a function cannot call a procedure. Please take a note of it. A function cannot call a procedure. A procedure in the reverse direction can call function, other procedures, everything within the any and every data that is available within the SQL Server. Clear? A procedure can call a function, but a function cannot call a procedure. Clear? Any doubt by far? Students, any doubts by far? Is it clear? Why you cannot call a function within a procedure? It is an interview question. Please take a note. There will be an interview question whether you can call a function within a procedure. It is a very important interview question. Do understand the reason. Function has very limited capability. You cannot do DML, you cannot do DDL, you cannot do transaction control within a function, and function is supposed to return a value. A procedure may or may not return a value. Procedure has higher capability, right? If you allow to call a procedure within a function, then function can also do DML, function can also do DDL. Why? Because procedure can do it, right? So if you can call a procedure within a function, then you are saying then whatever procedure can do, function can also do. That is why the nesting of procedure within a function is not legal. Clear? Next, now in this example, we have created a procedure that accepts certain parameters and then insert a few rows of data into the table. Created. So let's see, I wanted to insert a few rows of data. I want to insert a record for Virat Kohli. I am passing a first name Virat, second name Kohli, salary 45,000, address is New Delhi. Can you see? I inserted and I can see a fresh row of data coming here. Okay. With this model, there is an issue. Okay. Let us see what is an issue with this particular model. Can you see if I execute this particular method, if you see the row number 5 is inserted, if I insert the same procedure, execute the same procedure one more time, you will see the same record getting inserted. Can you see the duplicate value for the first name, last name, salary and address are getting duplicated? Can you see that? Virat Kohli is duplicated over 5 rows. But rows are, employee ID is unique because employee ID is managed by SQL Server. But because I don't have any restriction, what value can be inserted into the table, that is where the values of Virat Kohli is getting duplicated over the table. I want to put a logic that if the record does not exist, you insert. If the record does not, if the record exists, you skip it. Do not insert it. If I want to do the logic, how do I do that, right? Because typically you will do that. If you want to build a procedure, it should allow the combination of first name, last name, salary, and address as unique record. It cannot duplicate the record stack. Okay. Do remember how many records I have inserted by far? 9 records I have inserted by far. Okay. We'll do some modification to verify how do I restrict duplicate data to come into the table. Do remember, we have a clause known as if not exist. If not exist, if exist and if not exist, like if it is an if condition, whereas what it verify that I'm writing a select query. What I'm verifying, you try to select data from employee ID where employee table where the first name and last name and salary and address is matching the parameter value. Whatever you are trying to, somebody is trying to insert the data, first execute a query to verify whether this particular record exists or not with the same combination. Select star from select employee ID from employee where employee's first name equal to Virat, employee last name equal to Kohli, salary equal to 45,000, address is New Delhi. If this record does not exist, if not exist means what? If this particular select query in return record, that means the if not exist will evaluate it to false. Is that correct? Because it if not exist, that means the query is returning some data. That means the data exists. If not exist, it will evaluate false. If select query does not return any data. That means the record with the combination of first name, last name, salary, and address does not exist. In that case, if not exist, evaluate to true. That means actually data row does not exist. Clear? If not exist, evaluate whatever the select query is returning or not. If select query returns data, if not exist, returns false. If select query does not return data, if not exist, return true. Okay. Then what I'm saying, if the data does not exist, you try to insert the data set. In that way, what I'm mandating, if the record exists with the same combination, do not insert. If the record does not exist, if the record exists, you skip it. Okay. And then I'm saying that doing the same thing, execute the employee data procedure to show me the data. So let's build the procedure again. Okay. Now let us see what happens. Last time 9 rows of data were there. So I'm trying to insert one more rows of record here. I see that after 9, there is no insertion happening. The reason being, I have the if not exist block that is verifying Virat Kohli 45,000 is already there in the table. Do not insert more rows of data. Are you getting that? If it finds a duplicate setup stack, it will not insert. It is not inserting. Even if you execute multiple times, it is not inserting. The reason being the if not exist is verifying that. But let's see, I'm trying to insert Rohit Sharma into the table. Let's see. It's a fresh combination. There was no Rohit Sharma till row number 9. Correct? Up to this point, there was no Rohit Sharma combination. So it evaluated if not exists that there does not exist any record in employee table where the first name is Rohit, last name is Sharma, where salary is 35,000, where address is Mumbai. Because the row was not matching inside the table, so it allowed the insertion. But next time, if I try to duplicate the same thing, will it do it? No. As much number of time you want to insert, it will not insert. Why? If not exist evaluate, this particular combination is also there in the table. Clear up to this particular point? Any question by first students? Bhargavi, Guljar, Kalyan, Pradeep, Manideep, Uday. There is a drop in the student count today. What happened? Everybody could understand? Okay, fine. I'm deleting this particular. Okay, perfect. Thank you, Pradeep, for confirming. Now let's go to the next form. We'll understand. This is a pretty important piece. You need to see this because you may be using this particular form day in, day out. This is a real-time example that you can save in your email box. Whenever you are joining a company, you can actually start doing this activity. Okay. Do remember, this is what my intention is. I want to, till now, I was leveraging this particular procedure to show me all the data that is available within the table, right? But my requirement is you have to now insert a fresh record and only show the data that was inserted, not all record. That is what I want to do. And also that also asks for is, there are two ways to show the display the particular thing. You insert the record, select top one employee, order by ID descending. In that way, what you are saying, whatever employee records are coming, you reverse this down, employee sort by select top one star from employee table, order by emp ID descending. When you do that, last record will become the top one and the last record will be selected. That is one way of doing, but there is a programmatic way of doing also. Okay. Do remember, within a procedure or a function, there is something available known as identity function. Can you see that? There is a record, it is known as the server variable. Okay. Any variable with a double @ signature, that is known as a server variable. We have seen one kind of server variable during the cursor, @ fetch status, if you could remember. It is a server variable that tell you if the last fetch next operation was successful or not. If it is a successful operation, the fetch next returns 0. We have seen that. Similarly, there is another server variable available in SQL Server that is known as identity server variable. What does it do? The identity server variable always returns the last value of the identity column inserted into a table. That means if you perform an insert operation into a table, insert into employee, and there is an identity column available on the employee table. Do hear out. If there is an identity column available on employee table and you are trying to insert a value into the employee table, then identity variable @ identity server variable returns the last row inserted into the table. Okay. The alternative of identity is scope underscore identity. It also does the same thing. Within the scope of this code block, whatever identity value you are trying to insert into the table, it will return you the same thing. So do remember, you have the privilege of using @ identity or scope identity function. If you see, it is a function. Okay, it is a server variable. Both return the same thing. You have both dual availability. Either you use scope underscore identity function to get the last identity value inserted into a table, or @ identity to identify the last value identity within the table. Clear? Now what I'm doing, the same code. USB add employee, I'm verifying if the data row does not exist. Try to enter into the begin block. What you do, insert into the employee. Then I'm declaring a simple variable last emp ID and last employee ID, setting the last emp ID to @ identity server variable. So setting the last employee ID, I'm creating two different variables. Okay, one variable I'm storing the value of identity, one variable I'm storing the value of scope identity, just to show you. Then I'm showing you what is the value returned by both the variable. Select @ identity and scope identity. Okay, then what I'm trying to do, I'm executing. I have created a procedure, if you could remember yesterday, form 1 or form 2, where I created that I will pass a parameter to the procedure as ID, and I want to display the employee ID with that same record. Execute USB employee data for ID. There is a procedure we created in form number 3, and that was expecting an employee ID to be passed. So I'm calling that procedure where I would say execute data for employee ID, where employee ID equal to last emp ID. Last emp ID is nothing but the @ identity value. Okay. And last employee ID is a variable that is storing scope underscore identity value. I'm calling the same procedure again, get employee data for ID, employee ID as last employee ID. So whatever value is coming from identity, whatever value coming from scope identity, storing into variable, calling the get employee data for ID, passing both the variable value, just to show that it will return you the same record. Done. And I'm introducing another new block. What I'm saying, if data row does not exist, you insert. If the data does not exist, you insert. I'm also doing else. You print a value, say else, select data already exists as message. You display a message if the data row already there. Correct? So let us see how does it work. Clear? Let's execute the block of code. Now let us do two goes. Okay. I'm trying to insert a value called as Dinesh Karthik with salary 65,000 from Noida. From Noida. Okay. Execute the value. Just see what is happening here. USP add employee, Dinesh Karthik record was not there inside our table. So it is saying the last value of identity column that got inserted into the table was 11. Can you see that? @ identity. I have written this select query here. Show me the @ identity value. Correct? And the last value of scope identity is also 11. That means it is actually both of the function are returning the last value of identity column getting inserted into the table. Then I'm calling this particular procedure with the value employee ID of value 11. So it is getting me the Noida record. Then I am passing the value of employee ID with the last employee ID, that is nothing but the scope identity value. It is returning me another record, right? It is the same record set. This is how you can actually evaluate, test what is the variable coming into the procedure, where the code is breaking. You can print it, you can select it, what value is coming, if it is getting null somewhere. So you should always use a select query or a print query to evaluate your things. Clear? Now,
Yeah, hi.
if I exit, yeah, go ahead.
What is the scope identity?
Scope identity is a function that returns the last identity value inserted into a table. It is a function. Scope
okay.
underscore identity is a function that tells you what is the last identity value inserted into a table. We have an identity column here in the employee table. Did you see that?
Yeah.
Our
Fine, fine.
column name 1, employee ID, is an identity column, right? If you insert a new record, that means the identity value will be inserted into the table. SQL Server will generate that identity. So @ identity or scope identity tells you the last value generated from the identity column on the table. Clear?
Yeah, clear.
Okay, fine. Thank you. So now let us go and execute the employee. Where is the example 8, I believe? Yeah, example 8. So let us go and do the Dinesh Karthik Noida first time. Okay, we did it. First time when we did it, it actually showed us the data. But the second time when I'm trying to do it is a duplicate record. It is identifying the duplicate record. The data already exists. It is saying it is hitting the else block now. If not exist, said it is false. So it is going into the else block. Else block is saying data already exists. So it is able to identify. It will not allow you to insert a duplicate record into the table, right? So in case you have to implement a logic to verify, do not allow any insert into the duplicate table into a table. Always leverage if not exist blocks. Clear? And if you want to insert a new record with a, I'm altering the same value with appending Dinesh Karthik 1. Karthik 1 is the last one. It is a new record set, so it will allow it. New record inserted 12. Now it is saying Dinesh Karthik 1, right? But if you try to insert one more time, it will say data row already exists. So it is a foolproof procedure that is verifying. If the data row does not exist, allow it to insert. If the data exists, then skip it. Clear? Any questions by first student? Bhargavi, Guljar, Kalyan, Sai Vijaya, Uday, Mani. Are you all clear up to this point? Can I get a thumbs up? Yes, no? Some messages so that I understand that you understood. Is it clear? Please unmute. If you have any doubt, please let me know so that I know I explain one time if needed. Bhargavi, you have never ever spoken. Can you speak up? Bhargavi, are you able to understand the concept?
Yes, sir.
Everything clear?
Yeah, but after I get clarity, sir. I'm just understanding the concept what you said.
You have the exercise script available. Did you try creating or going through the script yesterday? I have
No,
given the
sir.
script yesterday. Why did you not do that?
I got it.
Sorry?
I will do it, sir, today.
See, Bhargavi and all the students, it is not to you, Bhargavi, only. I wanted to emphasize, if you want to get placed, be with me on the very day. If I'm teaching something in the class on that day, try to understand everything in the class. First thing, if you are still not able to understand, go and do the research on the same day. If you do not do it, you will be getting still. You will actually lag behind, and finally you will say that whatever investment you are doing on your education is not making any fruit. Problem is, you have to be focused. If you are not able to understand the first go, ask it, understand it. Okay. Anyone else having any doubt? Guljar is saying clear. Anybody having any doubt? Okay, fine. Let's move to the next form, the output variable. Okay, till now we have seen the procedure are accepting input parameters. By far we are able to pass value into the procedure. Whatever value we are passing is known as the input parameter. We are inputting the value, inputting, right? That is the keyword. That is why it is known as the input parameter. But in case you have to return a value out of the procedure to the caller, then what would you do, right? You have multiple ways in procedure. We have seen that it is returning some values like this. It is also an output to the calling block, but there may be a situation where somebody wanted to consume the value of the computation through the parameter itself. You can consume this value, right? The message itself, or you can consume the employee record that came out of the procedure. That is also a result set that can be consumed. But somebody has a very specific need. I want to consume the data through the parameter only. Okay. In SQL Server, there is a parameter available known as output parameter. Just observe. This is an interview question, so be very specific here. Okay. Do remember we are doing the same exercise that we completed last. Okay. What I'm trying to do, I am saying past first name, last name, salary, address. Then I am passing a result variable, and it is an output parameter. Can you see? I'm specifying a keyword. Say keyword called as out. In the same add employee procedure, I am now introducing a new parameter called as result variable. It is an out parameter. What my intention is, whatever will be the result of the computation, I will be assigning a value of the computation to the result variable so that a caller can actually leverage the message of computation using the result variable. Out variable is only used in very specific scenario where the program cannot use the result set written by the procedure. Result set means what? This is known as the result set. Whatever you are seeing here is the result set. If the program cannot use the result set, then they may be leveraging the output function. Okay, out parameter. You will never use the output parameter. It is for the sake of interview sake I'm showing it. If you understand thoroughly, then it is good. If you are not able to understand, at least do remember in SQL procedure there are two type of parameter. One is the input parameter, one is the output parameter. Input parameter accepts value into the procedure. Output parameter returns value to the caller. Whoever is calling, it will return the value to the caller. Okay, that is what the purpose. Now see, we are doing the same thing. If not exists, the record does not exist, you insert, you declare the value of the variable, scope identity. I'm creating a result variable here. Whatever variable that we declared here as an output, I'm assigning a value saying set the, if the successful insertion happened, you say new employee ID is last employee ID, because last employee ID is nothing but the identity variable value. Okay, I'm converting to string because string plus numeric is going to throw error, so I'm casting it to the varchar type of data. So string plus string is possible. To make employee ID as a number, string plus number will throw error, so I'm doing a casting operator here. Done. Type casting will convert a specific data type to another data type. Done. So I'm assigning the value of the variable here. Else means what? If the data row exists, you say the value of the variable is data already exists. Okay, clear? Simple, same procedure. We'll compile the code block. Created, Control R. Now see how do you call an output parameter? Do you remember till now we can call this particular procedure with this much. Till now we have seen this, correct? Now if you see I'm declaring a new variable called as final result as a varchar 200 data type. What I'm saying, execute add employee. Up to this point we are clear, but I had one variable known as output parameter as a result here. Do you remember? I said whoever will call it, they will come to know about the result from outside. So here, this script is the caller. This script is the caller. Okay, I'm saying let the caller know about the variable value. I'm declaring a local variable final result. I am saying whatever be the value of the result, you assign the value of the result to the final result local variable, and it is an output parameter. I will specify that, and I want to display the final result. Final result is local variable here. It is outside of the procedure. Execute the procedure, assign the parameter result with the local variable, and say it is an output parameter. That means what? Whatever value is there available in the result variable, you assign it to the final result variable. That is what the meaning of this line. Once the procedure executes, we are going to assign a value to the result variable. Whatever value comes to the result variable, you assign it back to the local variable final result, and then display me what is the value of the final result. That is what I'm trying to do here. Can you see? We declared a variable called as final result. The procedure ran, procedure completed execution. The result got stored saying data row already exists, and that got assigned to the final result with the output parameter. And I'm doing a final result as result. if you see, the result is coming out as data row already exists. If I want to do a new record, then it will give me the record as new employee record inserted. Can you see? We did the process within the procedure. We are doing the select at the data identity and scope identity, but the result variable, watch what it is saying. New employee ID is 13. It is coming out from the output parameter from the procedure to the outside of the caller. I will take a pause. Any clarity needed on the output parameter? Students, clear about the output parameter? In case you want to send back a value, computed value from within a procedure through the parameter, you can leverage output parameter. Whether you will be needing it in your day in day out job, absolutely not. It is absolutely not needed. Likewise said, cursor you will learn for the interview perspective, but you will never implement it. Every interview will go, everybody will ask cursor because they know cursor is bad to use. That is where they will ask, are you leveraging cursor? If so, don't you know there is a loop concept available that could have replaced the cursor logic, right? They will ask you. Similarly, the output parameter is a concept that you must know. Is it going to be used in your day in day out job? Absolutely not. It is absolutely not needed. Maybe in the rarest to the rare condition, you will be using output parameter to return a value outside of the procedure using output parameter. Okay, Uday Kiran saying clear, sir. Okay, fine. The last part of the procedure is how do I drop a procedure, right? I can say drop any, I can drop any object from within the SQL server using the drop command. We'll say drop object type object name. Drop object type object name, right? So here the procedure is drop procedure name. We can drop a procedure by saying drop procedure name. Okay, if you do that, procedure will be dropped. Your add employee will be gone from your stored procedure list. Add employee is gone because we just now drop the procedure, right? In order to verify one more time, we can create it, we can drop it one more time. Highlight the segment of code, execute, go to the stored procedure, go to the refresh, USB add employee is available, go and do a drop procedure and the procedure will be destroyed. It will be deleted permanently from the script block. Stored procedure, add employee gone, right? Anytime you want to drop a procedure, drop procedure name, right? For today's last part, that is the exception handling, I wanted to tell you what an exception handling block is. Do remember, if you have ever done any programming using C, C++, Python, Java, .NET, any other Perl, PHP, any programming language you have seen, you must have heard about something called as try-catch block. Okay, in SQL Server also try-catch block is also available. In case you want to see, you want to protect your failures, right? Say for an example, you want to verify when you do a select 1 by 0, can you divide a number by 0? Can you see? You are trying to divide a number by 0. It is not practically possible. It is mathematical error. You cannot divide a number by 0, right? So number divisible by errors will come from calculator, from your Android phone. You can try it out. 1 by 0 is not possible. So somebody using a logical computation, he was trying to compute, and all his computation converted to the divisor being a 0, right? So when on real time or number getting computed as number by 0, it will throw error. And when it is written within a procedure, it will actually break at that point in time. No further commands or syntaxes will be executed because the error is encountered. Code will break out at that point in time. In order to continue or handle the errors gracefully, we have a try-catch block. How do you write a try-catch block in SQL Server? Very simple. Begin try, end try, begin catch, end catch. This is how you will write your try-catch block. Okay. What you should do, whatever code you are writing, you should write all your code within the begin try block. Whatever code. That means whatever DML command we are writing here. Say for an example, how do I write a begin try, begin catch block for this one? Okay. Begin try, All this logic will go hand in hand. I will say all my logic are taken care of. End try, begin catch, end catch. Correct? And then I will say select exception occurred. This is how you should do your exception handling block within the SQL Server. If I recompile the code, it will get recompiled and my code is exception proof now. That means if the code breaks because of a logical or mathematical computation, it will not throw error. It will say some exception occurred as a custom message. Okay. Let us understand how do I implement that particular piece. Do remember, you have to do begin try and end try. Within that block, you write all your code here, whatever code you want to write. If any of your code line generates an error, it will go to the begin catch block. Okay. And in the catch block, these are some of the predefined error functions available that will give you some result of the error. Error number will tell you what is the predefined SQL Server error that you can identify what is happening. Error state, what is the state? Let us understand and first execute and then see what value is coming out. I'm creating a simple procedure where I'm trying to divide the number by 0. I know it will throw error, but when it throws error, how do I handle it? Why not I create a procedure to generate the error first? Correct? What if I do not write the begin catch? Let's see what happens. Do remember, I am doing select 1 by 0 one time. I am trying to do select 1 by 0 second time. I'm trying to select, I am here. I'm trying to write a procedure that will do these three things. 1 by 0, 1 by 0, and a select statement. I am here. This is the purpose of the procedure. Okay. I'm calling the procedure USP handle exception again. I was expecting it will, can you see that? First line error 1 by 0, error encountered. There is no result coming out. Second line 1 by 0, error encountered. Third line select, I am here. Can you see? All the three line happened, but in between there are errors happened. Can you see that? When you divide 1 by 0, it is throwing error, and error is message label 8134. Error label is 716. It is a predefined SQL Server thing. We need not worry about. Error state is severe. State 1 means it is a severe error that it cannot proceed from here. Divide again, we wrote a divide 1 by 0 one more time. So it is saying the same thing, divide by 0 encountered, right? It is throwing a lot of error from the code. What if I don't want to throw the error and I want to gracefully exit out of the code? In that case, I have to handle a exception block. How do I do that? Control, I would do begin, I would uncomment, and then I will uncomment. Okay, and they recompile the code. Let's see what happens now. Okay, fine. Let's call the code again. Can you see? No errors are being thrown to the code, right? And the code did not proceed further. We could see in the first go, we could see 1 by 0 error record was coming with no value. Second error record was coming with no value. Third error record, third message I am here was getting printed. But here I made sure if your code encounters an error, you break at that point in time, do not proceed further. So when it encountered the error in the first go, it did not execute this too. In the first option, it was trying to error out and printing the message. These three were coming out. But now what happened after introducing the begin try and end try, wherever the error is generated, it will stop at that point in time and move to the catch block. It will not proceed further because the error encountered. Okay. And what it is saying, the error number, there is a function called as error number. Error number function tell you the 8134 message is generated. Error state 16, error severity 16. Which procedure is generating the error? USP handle exception is generating the error. What line of the code is generating the error? If you compute from the line here, it will be line number 19, 18 or 19. From here, top of the script, it will be line 19 number line is generating the error. Okay, that is where it is saying error line is 19. And error message divide by 0 encountered. So these are the predefined functions available within the catch block that you can leverage in order to handle any error. That means in case of error occurred and you want to handle it or store it somewhere in the table, you can actually create a table and store all these values within that particular table. Insert into error table and all this function, call this function value, it will give you the record and store it in a table. This is what our try catch block is all about. Try catch helps you smoothly handle exception within a SQL. What is an exception? A computational error is known as an exception. Clear about up to this point, students? Any questions by far? And this completes the SQL procedure. I have already shared the script. I have given you exercise track. Please start attempting all the exercise track. And starting tomorrow, we'll do data loading using SQL procedure, and normalization, denormalization, security control language, and the transaction control language. These are the 4 objectives left from the SQL server. Then we'll start with the PostgreSQL. We'll be effectively starting the PostgreSQL around Saturday timeframe. So tomorrow and day after, we'll complete the entire SQL server class. So please go back, revise every topic. If you have any doubt, come back, ask me tomorrow and day after classes, because tomorrow and day after classes we'll have less topic to cover, but then we might have some time to discuss about the questions. So do go back and study well. I have already given you all the slide deck yesterday. Go to the Slack and find out all the slide deck. I have actually spoken about all this thing during our class. The notes: procedure has the highest privilege. You can perform DML DDL. Procedure may or may not accept parameter. We have already seen the procedure without a parameter also, right? Procedure can have 2 type of parameter, input and output. You can call a function inside stored procedure. You can create temp table inside procedure. You can write loop inside procedure. You can write exception handling inside procedure. Your procedure are pre-compiled and interpreted many times. That's why it is faster. Procedure are faster over normal SQL query as it's pre-compiled and stored in SQL Server, right? Interview question: what is the procedure? Advantage of SQL Server procedure: difference between procedure and a function. Can you call a procedure and a function? These are the 3 important interview question, and 100% guaranteed question. Any interview will go, you will be asked a question: difference between a procedure and a function, right? Procedure may or may not return value. Function is absolutely going to return a value. Procedure is having the highest privilege. You can do DDL, DML, DQL, everything in a procedure. Function cannot do it. A procedure can call a function cannot call a procedure. Procedure may or may not return a parameter. It may or may not return value even. Okay. Function is bound to return a value. That is what the difference between a procedure and a function is. Okay. Advantage of a procedure: we have known a concept called as abstraction. Abstraction means what? Hiding the complexity of implementing the logic from the user. User only see the procedure name and the parameter. He doesn't know how many lines of code is written behind, right? So you are abstracting the complexity of a logic from the user. It is also a way of implementing security. It is a faster way of implementing the logic. The reason being, it will be stored on server. Multiple developer can contribute onto the same procedure at the same point in time. That is why it is also used as a shareable component. Okay. Any question by far, or shall we call it a day? Anyone in having any question? Everybody clear about all the concept by far? We'll be closing out in next 2 sessions. So if you have any doubts around the SQL Server, let me know, because after that we'll start the PostgreSQL. Major syntaxes will remain same. We'll practice same subquery. We'll practice same join over there, but light variations are there. So we'll catch it up. But then the topic will be much more focused around the PostgreSQL server rather than the SQL Server. SQL Server is a database product, and PostgreSQL is an open source database product. Okay, no questions. So let's close the session today. Thank you so much, student. Go back, practice hard. I may be planning, I'm planning to do a kind of dummy interviews for you. I will let know, Ramya, when I want to do that. Please prepare hard. And then I want to evaluate where do you stand depending upon the interview and the scores. Okay. Take care. Bye-bye.